There's a specific way of holding your hands that appears across every ancient wisdom tradition on Earth. The same positioning shows up in statues of enlightened masters, paintings of awakened beings, and carvings of Egyptian royalty. This isn't random cultural borrowing. It's evidence of a singular truth that Thoth encoded into the emerald tablets 36 millennia ago. Your hands aren't just flesh, bone, and muscle. They're sophisticated receivers, broadcasting stations. Dimensional gateways link directly to 7 power centers running through your physical form. Most people glance at a statue of an enlightened master with fingers arranged in precise formations and think, that's just religious decoration. But Thoth taught something radically different, that every single finger connects to a specific internal organ, to a pathway of bioelectric current, to a distinct vibrational frequency. And when you arrange your fingers in particular configurations, what ancient civilizations called hand seals, you're not performing empty ritual. You're activating bioelectric circuits that modern science is only beginning to detect and measure. In this presentation, you're going to learn the 7 hand seals Thoth employed to manipulate his own life force energy, and why these identical finger positions appear across every spiritual lineage on the planet in remarkably similar forms. If you've ever experienced tingling sensations in your palms during quiet reflection, or noticed certain hand positions instantly calm your nervous system, that wasn't psychological suggestion. That was your physical body recognizing an ancestral code that Thoth embedded into the very architecture of your hands. Stop what you're doing right now and look at your hands. Not casually, not the way you normally glance at them. Actually examine them. The framework, the fingers, the lines crossing your palms. You've probably never considered that these hands contain a complete blueprint of your entire biological system, that every finger, every joint, every point across your palm connects energetically to a particular organ, to a specific system, to a center of awareness. This isn't vague mysticism. This is knowledge transmitted across thousands of years by masters who understood something mainstream medicine is just now beginning to validate. That the human organism isn't merely physical matter. It's an electromagnetic field, its frequency, its information vibrating in specific patterns. And your hands are the control panels for that field. Thoth described the human body in the emerald tablets as a temple containing 7 gateways, 7 energy centers that Hindu traditions labeled as chakras, Egyptian priests called ka points, Chinese masters named dantian. Different terminology, identical truth. And each of these centers connects to your fingers through invisible channels that Chinese physicians mapped over 5,000 years ago and called meridians. For centuries, Western medicine dismissed this concept entirely. Energy channels, they don't exist. We've never found them during dissection. But in 1963, a North Korean scientist named Kim Bong-han discovered something remarkable. He identified microscopic tubular structures throughout the human body that weren't part of any known system. They weren't blood vessels, they weren't nerve fibers, they weren't lymphatic channels. They were something completely different, and when he injected radioactive tracers, he found these tubes followed precisely the pathways of meridians described in traditional Chinese medicine. The scientific establishment ignored his findings for decades. Until 2013, when researchers at Seoul National University confirmed meridians are physically real. They exist, and they carry fluid containing stem cells and DNA in concentrations far higher than blood. This means the ancients were absolutely correct. There's an energy system throughout the human organism that modern medicine simply wasn't equipped to measure. And this system, it runs directly through your hands. Consider this. Why did healers in every ancient culture, Egypt, India, China, Tibet, Central America, always work with their hands? Why is laying on of hands universal? Why did Christ heal through touch? Why did Buddha teach specific finger arrangements? Why were pharaohs depicted with such precise hand positioning? Because they understood that hands are more than biological tissue. They're frequency transmitters. Thoth taught that when you arrange your fingers in specific formations, you're creating circuits. You're completing bioelectric loops. You're redirecting the flow of life force, or chi, or ki, or whatever term you prefer, throughout your entire system. And depending on how you position your fingers, you can direct this energy to heal particular organs, quiet mental chatter, activate consciousness centers, or even shift your emotional state instantaneously. This isn't supernatural. It's energetic geometry. Think of your fingers as electrical wiring. When you connect two wires, electricity flows. When you separate them, the current stops. The exact same principle applies to your fingers. Each finger carries a different frequency, and when you touch them together in specific ways, you're creating circuits that alter energy flow through your entire body. But here's the issue. Most people never learned this. You grew up completely unaware that your hands possess this capability, that you can literally transform your physical and emotional state simply by positioning your fingers specifically. And why? Why was this knowledge forgotten in Western civilization? The answer is straightforward. Because a medical industrial system that profits from chronic illness has zero interest in teaching people to heal themselves. Thoth knew this. He knew there would be eras when knowledge would be suppressed. That's why he encoded these truths into symbols, into gestures, into images that would survive millennia. And now, at this exact moment, you're about to relearn what your ancestors knew. But before we explore the 7 specific hand seals Thoth employed, you need to understand something fundamental about how this system operates. Your hands aren't identical. This might seem obvious, but most people never recognize the energetic difference between right and left hands. In the Hermetic tradition, Thoth established the right hand is yang energy, masculine, projecting, active. The left hand is yin energy, feminine, receiving, receptive. When you extend your right hand, you're broadcasting energy outward. When you use your left hand, you're absorbing energy inward. That's why across nearly every ancient tradition, blessings are given with the right hand, because you're transmitting energy, power, intention. And that's why many healers use the left hand to sense, to diagnose, to detect energy blockages. Thoth taught that to truly master hand seals, you must understand this polarity, because when you unite your right hand with your left in certain positions, you're creating a complete circuit. You're uniting yang and yin, masculine and feminine, heaven and earth, sun and moon. And when this circuit closes, energy begins circulating within you instead of dispersing outward. Think of this like a battery. If you leave the terminals disconnected, energy leaks. But when you connect the terminals, energy circulates and amplifies. Your fingers work identically. Now each finger also carries its own frequency, its own connection to specific organs and systems. The thumb connects to the fire element, to the stomach and spleen, to fundamental vital energy, what Chinese medicine calls original qi. The index finger connects to the air element, to the lungs and large intestine, to the capacity to absorb and release, to breathe and let go. The middle finger connects to the ether element, or space, to the pericardium and triple warmer, to circulation and temperature regulation systems. The ring finger connects to the earth element, to the liver and gallbladder, to the ability to process and detoxify, both physically and emotionally. And the little finger connects to the water element, to the heart and small intestine, to the capacity to feel, to connect, to love. When you understand these correspondences, hand seals stop being random gestures and become precise technology. You're not just touching fingers together, you're connecting elements, you're balancing systems, you're harmonizing frequencies. And Thoth knew exactly which combinations created which effects. But here's something few understand. Hand seals don't only work on the physical level, they also affect your subtle energy bodies. When you form a hand seal, you're not just influencing physical organs, you're activating chakras. You're clearing nadis, you're adjusting your auric field. That's why certain hand seals make you feel immediately calmer. Others energize you. Others help you focus. It's not psychological, it's energetic. And there's a specific protocol for making hand seals work properly. Rules that Thoth taught initiates in the temples of Hermopolis. If you simply touch fingers together without preparation, without intention, without awareness, the effect is minimal. But when you follow the correct protocol, results are immediate and profound. So before showing you the 7 primary hand seals, I'm going to teach you the preparation protocol Thoth used. The first rule is, never form hand seals with cold hands. This might seem simple, but it's fundamental. When your hands are cold, meridians are constricted. energy doesn't flow. So before any practice, you need to warm your hands. And the most effective method is rubbing one palm vigorously against the other until you feel heat. Thoth described this as awakening the fire in the hands. You're literally activating energy circulation before beginning. Do this for at least 30 seconds until your palms feel warm, until you sense a slight tingling. That tingling? It's not just blood circulating, it's chi moving, it's prana activating. The second rule concerns posture. You cannot form effective hand seals while misaligned. Sit with your spine straight, not rigid but aligned. Imagine an invisible thread pulling the crown of your head gently upward. Why? Because energy rises through the spine. Chinese medicine calls this the central channel. Hindu traditions call it sushumna. Thoth called it the pillar of light. When your spine is crooked, energy doesn't rise. It gets blocked, and hand seals lose effectiveness. You can form hand seals sitting in a chair. You don't need lotus position, but your spine needs to be straight. The third rule is about breathing. You need to calm your breath before beginning. Breathe deeply, slowly, through your nose. Inhale, counting to 4. Hold for 2. Exhale, counting to 6. Do this several times until you feel your mind beginning to quiet, your body starting to relax. Why? Because breath is the bridge between conscious and unconscious, between physical and energetic. When you calm your breathing, you calm your nervous system, and when your nervous system is calm, energy can flow without resistance. The fourth rule is crucial. Never force your fingers. Hand seals should be comfortable. If you feel pain, if you feel tension, you're doing it wrong. The touch between fingers should be light, firm enough to maintain contact, but gentle enough not to create tension. Thoth said, "Power lies not in force, but in precision. When you force, you block. When you relax into the correct position, energy flows naturally." The fifth rule is about duration. Hand seals need time to work. The minimum is 5 minutes. The ideal is between 10 and 15 minutes. The maximum is 30 minutes. Why? Because energy takes time to reorganize, to rebalance, to harmonize. If you hold a hand seal for only 1 minute, you're just beginning to activate the circuit. There's no time for effects to fully manifest. But if you exceed 30 minutes, especially initially, you can overload the system. You can create imbalance, so start with 5 to 10 minutes and gradually increase as you become accustomed. The sixth rule is about emotional state. Never form hand seals when you're extremely disturbed. Unless it's an emergency like a panic attack or acute physical pain, wait until you're somewhat calmer. Why? Because hand seals amplify what you're feeling. If you're in total panic and form an energizing hand seal, you might intensify the panic. So if you're very disturbed, first breathe, calm somewhat, and then use the appropriate hand seal. And the seventh rule, perhaps most important, concentrate fully. Don't form hand seals while watching television, or while scrolling your phone, or while your mind is wandering. Close your eyes, or maintain a soft, unfocused gaze, and direct your attention to the sensations in your hands. Feel the warmth. Feel the tingling. Feel the energy circulating. The more you concentrate, the more powerful the effect. Thoth taught that where attention goes, energy flows. If your attention is scattered, energy scatters. If your attention is focused, energy concentrates and amplifies. These 7 rules aren't suggestions, they're requirements. They're the protocol that separates those who merely make gestures from those who actually manipulate energy. And now that you know the protocol, let's explore the 7 hand seals Thoth considered essential. The 7 gestures he taught priests in ancient Egyptian temples. The first hand seal is what Thoth called the earth anchor. In Indian tradition, it's known as Prithvi Mudra. To form this hand seal, unite the tip of your ring finger with the tip of your thumb. The other 3 fingers remain extended, relaxed, but not rigid. Simple, right? But incredibly powerful. Why is this hand seal called the earth anchor? Because it activates the earth element in your body, and the earth element relates to structure, stability, grounding. When you form this hand seal, you're telling your body, root down, solidify, ground yourself. And this has profound effects. Physically, this hand seal improves circulation, increases vitality, strengthens bones and muscles, helps with weight recovery for those who are underweight. Energetically, it balances the root chakra, that energy center at the base of your spine related to survival, security, physical presence. When your root chakra is imbalanced, you feel disconnected, anxious, like you're floating without ground beneath you. But when you form the earth anchor, you literally reconnect with planetary energy. You ground yourself. Thoth taught this hand seal to those who spent extensive time in elevated meditative states and needed to return to physical embodiment. He said, "Before you fly, learn to walk. Before you transcend, learn to be present." And this hand seal is the tool for being present. You can use it when you feel scattered, when your mind is flying in 1,000 directions, when you need to focus and concentrate. Form the earth anchor, breathe deeply, and feel how your energy descends, stabilizes, grounds. Now there's something important about this hand seal. It should be formed in the morning, preferably, because it energizes. If you form it at night, it might interfere with sleep, because you're activating, not relaxing. So morning, 10 to 15 minutes, and observe how you feel more centered, more present, more connected to your body throughout the entire day. The second hand seal is the life seal. In Hindu tradition, it's known as prana mudra. To form this hand seal, unite the tip of your ring finger and the tip of your little finger with the tip of your thumb. The index and middle fingers remain extended. This hand seal is about vitality, about life force energy, about prana. Thoth taught that when you unite these three specific fingers, ring, little, and thumb, you're creating an energetic triangle that amplifies vital force in the body. The effects of this hand seal are impressive. It strengthens the immune system, improves vision, reduces fatigue, increases physical and mental endurance. If you feel exhausted, drained, without energy, this is the hand seal for you. Why? Because it directly activates meridians connected to the kidneys. And in Chinese medicine, the kidneys store what they call jing, vital essence, ancestral energy, the deep reservoir of vitality. When your jing is low, you age faster, you get sick more easily, you tire quickly. But when you form the life seal regularly, you're recharging this deep battery. Thoth used this hand seal before intensive rituals that required great energy expenditure. He knew he needed his reserves full. And you can use it the same way. Before an important presentation, before a long, challenging day, before any situation you know will drain your energy. Form the life seal for 10 minutes and feel how your internal battery recharges. But there's another powerful use for this hand seal. It also improves vision. I'm not talking about instantly curing myopia, but about strengthening the eyes, reducing eye fatigue, improving circulation to the optic nerves. If you spend extensive time looking at screens, this hand seal is essential. Form it with eyes closed and visualize energy flowing to your eyes, nourishing, healing, strengthening. With regular practice, many people report their vision becomes sharper. Their eyes tire less. Colors seem more vivid. This isn't miraculous. It's physiology. It's bioenergetics. And it works. The third hand seal is the water seal, Varuna mudra in Indian tradition. To form this hand seal, unite the tip of your little finger with the tip of your thumb. The other fingers remain extended. This hand seal regulates the water element in the body, and water represents approximately 70% of your body. So when this element is imbalanced, everything suffers. Thoth taught that water isn't just physical liquid. It's the principle of fluidity, adaptability, cleansing, renewal. When you form the water seal, you're activating all fluid-related systems in the body. This includes cellular hydration, lymphatic system, saliva production, joint lubrication, skin health. If you have dry skin, this hand seal is transformative. If you have digestive problems related to lack of fluids, this hand seal helps. If you have joint pain because your joints aren't well lubricated, this hand seal relieves. And there's a deep emotional aspect here. In Chinese medicine and energy psychology, the water element relates to emotions, especially fear and anxiety. When you're afraid, your mouth dries. Your body retains fluids in wrong places and dehydrates in others. Your kidneys, which govern the water element, enter stress. Forming the water seal doesn't just balance physical fluids, it also balances emotions related to the water element. Thoth used this hand seal in purification rituals, because water cleanses, water washes, water renews. And when you form this hand seal, you're symbolically and energetically washing your internal system. A specific powerful use. Form this hand seal when you're feeling stagnant emotions, when you feel there's something stuck inside you that needs to come out but can't. Form the water seal and visualize these emotions dissolving, flowing, leaving your system like dirty water being drained. Many people cry when forming this hand seal, and that's good, because crying is release. It's deep emotional cleansing, and the water seal facilitates this release. The fourth hand seal is the air seal, Vayu Mudra. To form this hand seal, bend your index finger and press the second knuckle lightly with your thumb. The other fingers remain extended. This hand seal is about calming, about quieting, about reducing excess. Thoth taught that the air element, when imbalanced, causes mental agitation, anxiety, restlessness, racing thoughts. Think about how strong wind disorganizes everything, lifts dust, scatters leaves, creates chaos. The same happens internally when the air element is excessive. Your mind won't stop. Your thoughts jump from one place to another. You can't concentrate. The air seal calms this internal wind. When you press the index finger with your thumb, you're literally closing a circuit that redirects air element energy downward, toward earth, toward stability. The effects are rapid. Anxiety decreases. Racing thoughts slow down. Restlessness transforms into calm. But there's something important here. Don't form this hand seal longer than necessary. Why? Because you don't want to completely suppress the air element. You want to balance it. Use this hand seal when you're anxious, agitated, unable to calm down. Use for 5 to 10 minutes until you feel the internal storm has calmed, and then release. Let air flow naturally again. Thoth used this hand seal before entering deep meditative states, because if the mind is agitated, meditation doesn't happen. So he would form the air seal for a few minutes. The mind would calm, and then he could dive into depths of consciousness without interference. You can use it the same way. Before sleep if your mind won't stop thinking. Before meditation, if you're too agitated. Before an important decision, if your thoughts are confused. Form the air seal. And observe how mental fog dissipates and clarity emerges. The fifth hand seal is the sun seal, Surya Mudra. To form this hand seal, bend your ring finger so the tip touches the base of your thumb. Then gently press the ring finger with your thumb. The other fingers remain extended. This hand seal is about fire, heat, transformation, metabolism. Thoth taught that the sun isn't just a star in the sky. It's the principle of transformation, of alchemy, of change. And when you form the sun seal, you're activating this principle in your body. Physically, this hand seal increases metabolism, helps burn fat, generates internal heat. If you have slow metabolism, if you feel cold constantly, if you have difficulty losing weight, this hand seal can help. But there's an even more important use for this hand seal. It protects and strengthens the heart. Thoth taught that the heart isn't just a pump, it's the internal sun, the center of warmth and life in the body. And when the heart is weak, when the heart fire is low, the entire system suffers. The sun seal strengthens this fire. In Chinese medicine, it's said this hand seal can even help prevent heart attacks. That in a cardiac emergency, forming this hand seal can stabilize until help arrives. I'm not saying to replace medical treatment, never do that. But I'm saying this hand seal has real effects on the cardiovascular system. Thoth used this hand seal to maintain his vitality even in advanced age. He knew the heart is the king of organs, and a strong king keeps the kingdom prosperous. Form this hand seal in the morning, 10 minutes, and feel how gentle warmth spreads through your chest. It's not imagination, it's circulation improving, it's energy moving, it's internal fire strengthening. The sixth hand seal is the heart seal, Hridaya Mudra. To form this hand seal, bend your index finger and touch the base of your thumb. Then unite the tips of your middle and ring fingers with the tip of your thumb. The little finger remains extended. This hand seal is specifically for the emotional heart, not just the physical one. Thoth taught that the heart has two dimensions, the physical, which pumps blood, and the emotional, which feels love, pain, joy, sorrow, and these two dimensions are connected. When your emotional heart is wounded, when you're suffering, when you're grieving, when your heart is broken, your physical heart also suffers. Modern science confirms this. There's even a condition called broken heart syndrome, where extreme emotional stress can cause symptoms identical to a heart attack. The heart seal heals both dimensions. Physically, it regulates heart rhythm, improves circulation, reduces palpitations. Emotionally, it calms anguish, relieves emotional pain, brings peace to the wounded heart. Thoth used this hand seal in emotional healing rituals, when someone was suffering, when there was loss, when the heart was heavy. And you can use it the same way, when you're going through separation, when you've lost someone, when your heart feels tight for any reason. Form the heart seal. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and place your attention in the center of your chest. Visualize golden light filling your heart, warming, healing, softening. Don't force anything, just allow. And with time, the pain diminishes, not because you're suppressing, but because you're actually healing. And now we arrive at the seventh hand seal, the most powerful of all, the one Thoth reserved only for advanced initiates, the consciousness seal, Gyan Mudra. To form this hand seal, unite the tip of your index finger with the tip of your thumb. The other fingers remain relaxed, slightly extended. This is the hand seal you see in virtually every image of Buddha, of masters in meditation, of ancient sages. Why? Because this hand seal doesn't just affect the physical body, it affects consciousness directly. Thoth taught that the index finger represents the individual self, the ego, the personality, and the thumb represents the higher self, divine consciousness, the source. When you unite the two, you're symbolically uniting the human with the divine, the finite with the infinite, the temporal with the eternal. And this union isn't just symbolic, it's energetic. The consciousness seal activates the third eye chakra and the crown chakra. It increases concentration, improves memory, sharpens intuition, facilitates deep meditative states. If you want to develop clairvoyance, clairaudience, psychic abilities, this is the foundational hand seal. But more important than all of this, it helps you remember who you really are. Not the name, not the story, not the body, but the eternal consciousness temporarily inhabiting this body. Thoth spent hours in this hand seal, entire days during intensive spiritual retreats. He said the longer you maintain the consciousness seal, the more deeply you dive into the mysteries of existence. That eventually, if you maintain this hand seal long enough with completely focused mind, you begin perceiving layers of reality that are normally hidden. You begin seeing energy, feeling fields, perceiving dimensions beyond the physical. I'm not saying this happens the first time, or the 10th, or the 100th, but with consistent practice, this hand seal opens doors in consciousness you didn't even know existed. And here's something fascinating. When you form this hand seal during meditation, your brain activity changes. Studies with Buddhist monks showed that when they meditate with this hand seal, brain waves shift to patterns of high coherence. Different parts of the brain begin synchronizing, working in harmony. And when this happens, you experience states of expanded consciousness, profound insights, understandings that don't come from logical thinking, but from a deeper source. Thoth called this accessing the Akashic library, the cosmic library where all knowledge is stored. And the consciousness seal is the key that opens this library. Now you know the 7 primary hand seals Thoth taught. The 7 seals he used to manipulate his bioenergy and expand his consciousness. But here's something crucial you need to understand. These hand seals aren't just isolated gestures. They're part of a complete system, of a spiritual technology Thoth developed over millennia. Because Thoth wasn't just a master of energy, he was a master of consciousness, an architect of realities, and everything he taught had layers, meanings within meanings, practices within practices. The hand seals are the foundational level, the entry point. But behind this door, there's an entire universe of knowledge. There are hand seal combinations that create even more powerful effects. There are specific sequences that activate internal alchemical processes. There are advanced practices that can only be transmitted directly from master to student. Thoth guarded these deeper teachings because he knew not everyone is ready. That giving power to those unprepared is dangerous, not for the world, but for the person themselves. Because when you begin manipulating energy consciously, you assume responsibility. You can no longer blame external circumstances. You can no longer pretend you're a victim. You become a conscious creator, and with that comes responsibility. So Thoth established levels, steps, a ladder of knowledge where each step prepares you for the next. And the 7 hand seals you just learned, they're the first step, they're the foundation, the base upon which everything else is built. If you master these 7, if you practice daily, if you truly understand, not just mechanically but energetically how they work, then you're ready for more. But if you just collect information without applying, if you just know intellectually without practicing, then you're missing the entire point. Thoth didn't teach to create scholars. He taught to create masters, and the difference between scholar and master is simple. The scholar knows. The master does. So the question isn't, did you understand the 7 hand seals? The question is, will you practice? Because understanding without practicing is like having a treasure map, but never leaving home to search. The knowledge is here. The tools are in your hands, literally. But only you can decide to use them. And here's something that will shift your perception about why these gestures appear across all ancient traditions. It wasn't cultural transmission. It wasn't coincidence. It wasn't because different cultures copied each other. It was because Thoth was in all these places. The emerald tablets make this clear. Thoth didn't stay only in Egypt. He traveled. He went to India and taught the rishis. He went to Tibet and instructed the lamas. He went to China and transmitted knowledge to Taoist sages. In each place, he adapted teachings to local culture, used different metaphors, different language, different symbols. But the essence was always identical. The hand seals, the chakras, the meridians, internal alchemy, energy transmutation, all of this is hermetic, all of this comes from Thoth. So when you see Buddha forming a specific gesture with his hands, know that Thoth taught that gesture millennia earlier. When you see Christ with hands positioned in a certain way, know that position comes from the same source. When you see Egyptian, Hindu, Tibetan deities, all with similar gestures, it's not coincidence. It's Thoth, echoing through time, through cultures, through traditions, because truth is universal. Truth doesn't change with geography or era. The energetic anatomy of the human being is identical today as it was 36,000 years ago. The meridians are still there. The chakras still function the same way. Energy still flows through the same channels. And the hand seals? The hand seals still activate the same circuits. Because we haven't evolved beyond this technology, we simply forgot it. And now at this precise moment in human history, this knowledge is resurfacing, not by accident, but because the time has come. Because we're entering an era where more people are ready to assume responsibility for their own energy, where more people are seeking practical tools instead of empty dogmas, where more people are willing to do the internal work necessary to actually transform, and hand seals are one of the simplest and most powerful tools available. You don't need equipment. You don't need a guru. You don't need years of study. You just need your hands and the willingness to practice. But there's one final secret about hand seals that Thoth rarely revealed, a secret that changes everything when you understand it. Hand seals don't work only because of the energy circuits in your fingers. They also work because of geometry. Each hand seal creates a specific geometric form with your hands, and that geometry has frequency. Think about it. Why do mandalas have power? Why do sacred symbols affect consciousness? Why does sacred geometry resonate with something deep inside you? Because form is frequency. Geometry is vibration made visible. And when you create certain forms with your hands, you're literally shaping the energy field around you. You're not just redirecting internal energy, you're also interacting with external energy, with the quantum field, with the ether, with what Thoth called the cosmic fluid. Each hand seal is an antenna that both transmits and receives. When you form the consciousness seal, you're not just uniting two fingers. You're creating a circuit that connects you with specific frequencies of the cosmos, frequencies related to knowledge, to wisdom, to expanded consciousness, and these frequencies begin flowing through you, informing you, transforming you. This isn't metaphor, it's physics. It's applied sacred geometry. Thoth knew this. That's why he was so precise about finger angles, about exact positions, because an error of a few degrees changes the geometry. And changing the geometry, you change the frequency. It's like tuning a musical instrument. If the string is slightly out of tune, the music doesn't sound right. The same with hand seals. Precision matters. And the more you practice, the more sensitive you become to these subtleties. You begin feeling when the hand seal is exactly right, when the geometry is perfect, when the frequency is aligned, and in that moment of perfect alignment something magical happens. You're no longer forming a hand seal. The hand seal is forming you. You become a portal, a channel, an instrument of forces greater than yourself. And that's the true mastery Thoth taught, not control, but alignment, not force, but harmony. You stop trying to manipulate energy and start dancing with it. But let me tell you something few know about the history of hand seals in Egypt. You've probably seen Egyptian hieroglyphs, images of gods and pharaohs with specific hand positions. Osiris with arms crossed over chest, Anubis with one hand extended, Horus making specific gestures. You thought those were just artistic poses, religious symbolism without practical function. No, they were hand seals, Egyptian hand seals. Each position had specific function. Each gesture activated something specific, and Thoth taught all of them. In the mystery schools of Hermopolis, initiates spent years learning not just finger hand seals, but full-body hand seals, complete positions that transformed the body into an instrument of cosmic channeling. Priests didn't assume these poses to look impressive. They did it to activate powers, to channel energy from the gods, to open dimensional portals, to perform deep internal alchemy. And when you look at hieroglyphs with this understanding, everything changes. You realize ancient Egypt wasn't just a technologically advanced civilization. It was an energetically advanced civilization. They understood things about the human body, about consciousness, about reality, that we're still trying to rediscover. And Thoth was the architect of this knowledge. He didn't just teach hand seals, he taught an entire science of human transformation, a science that was fragmented, scattered, distorted over millennia. But that was never completely lost. Because truth has a way of surviving, of resurfacing, of finding those who are ready to receive it. And if you've made it this far, if these words resonated with you, then you're one of those people. Not by accident, not by luck, but because something within you recognizes, remembers, knows you've practiced this before, in other lifetimes, in other times, and now you're remembering. So what do you do now with this knowledge? You have three options. The first option is to ignore it. Close this presentation and forget. Return to life as if nothing changed. That's the option most people choose, because it's easiest. It requires nothing from you. The second option is to collect. Store this information as one more interesting concept, one more cool spiritual theory. You might even form the hand seals a few times. Experiment. And then forget when the novelty wears off. Many people choose this option too, because it gives the illusion of growth without requiring real commitment. But there's a third option, the option Thoth hoped true seekers would choose: practice, embody, live. Make hand seals part of your daily routine, not as obligation, but as sacred practice. Wake in the morning and form the earth anchor to ground yourself for the day. Form the life seal when you need energy. Form the water seal when you need to cleanse emotions. Form the air seal when you need to calm your mind. Form the sun seal to strengthen your heart. Form the heart seal when you need to heal emotional pain. And form the consciousness seal every time you meditate, every time you seek clarity, every time you want to connect with something greater. This third option isn't easy. It requires discipline. It requires consistency. It requires faith when results aren't yet obvious. But it's this option that transforms, that heals, that awakens. And it's this option Thoth offered only to those willing to walk, not just to listen. So which do you choose? Because this choice defines whether you're a spectator or a participant, whether you're a collector of information or a practitioner of transformation. And only you can make this choice. There's one final thing I want to share with you. Something Thoth said about the power of hands. He said, "Your hands are the tools the soul uses to touch the physical world." Think about that. Your consciousness, your soul, has no hands. It's pure energy, pure vibration. But when it enters a body, when it manifests on this physical plane, it gains hands. And these hands become the instruments through which the soul interacts with matter. You create with your hands. You heal with your hands. You express love through touch. But more deeply, you manipulate energy with your hands. Every healer knows this. Every martial arts master knows this. Every energy master knows this. Hands aren't just flesh. They're extensions of your will, of your intention, of your consciousness. And when you learn to use your hands consciously, through hand seals, through laying on of hands, through sacred gestures, you become a magician in the true sense of the word. Not a magician of tricks and illusions, but a magician of energy and transformation. Thoth was a magician in this sense, and he taught that everyone has this potential, that the difference between ordinary person and magician is simply knowledge and practice. The ordinary person uses hands unconsciously, mechanically. The magician uses hands as instruments of conscious power, and hand seals are the first step on this path. They're the gateway to something much greater. Because when you master hand seals, when you truly understand how to manipulate energy through your hands, you're ready to learn other things, other techniques, other practices, other mysteries. But everything begins here, with these simple finger positions, with this humble but powerful practice that has traversed millennia. With this knowledge Thoth considered so fundamental that he ensured it survived in every possible form, in statues, in paintings, in oral teachings, in traditions of diverse cultures, all so that one day at this exact moment you could rediscover it. If something within you recognized this truth, if you felt that your hands are more than you imagined, leave in the comments, "My hands remember." Because when you declare this, when you affirm it out loud or in text, you're sealing an intention, you're telling the universe, "I remember, I'm ready, I will practice." And this declaration has power, more power than you imagine, because declared intention is activated intention. And for those who declared, for those ready to go beyond theoretical knowledge and enter actual practice, there's a path ahead. A path Thoth opened millennia ago, but that few have the courage to walk. Because this path offers no shortcuts. It promises no instant results. It guarantees no ease. What it offers is real transformation, real power, real awakening. And that only comes through consistent, dedicated, conscious practice. Your hands have always been portals. They've always been instruments of power. You simply forgot. But now you remember. And with this remembering comes responsibility. The responsibility to not just know, but do. To not just understand, but practice. To not just admire the knowledge, but live it. Thoth didn't teach to create admirers. He taught to create masters. And the difference is choice. You choose whether you want to just know about hand seals or master them. You choose whether you want to just understand the concept or experience the power. You choose whether you want to be spectator or protagonist in your own transformation, and this choice, only you can make it. But know this, your hands are waiting to be used consciously, waiting to become what they were always destined to be, instruments of healing, of power, of transformation, portals between the invisible and visible, between the energetic and physical, between the divine and human. Thoth knew this 36,000 years ago. And now you know it too. What you do with this knowledge determines who you become. So begin. Today. Now. Choose one of the 7 hand seals, whichever resonates most with you. Warm your hands. Sit with spine straight. Breathe deeply. And form the hand seal. With intention, with consciousness, with presence, and observe. Observe what happens. Observe what you feel. Observe what changes. Because practice is the only true teacher, and your hands are ready to teach.